Good morning. Welcome, everyone. This will be the January 30th meeting of the Municipality of Tweed Committee of Adjustment and Planning Committee meeting. We'll start with our land acknowledgement and then introduction of those that are present. The Municipality of Tweed recognizes that our work takes place on traditional Indigenous territories, including the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. We recognize and respect the history, languages, and cultures of the First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all Indigenous peoples whose presence continues to enrich our communities. We start with introductions. We'll start with the staff.
Lucas Wales, Deputy Clerk, Zoning Administrator.
Laurie Krellin, Clerk.
Phyllis Savoy.
Jack Robinson.
And Jim Patterson has sent his regrets for this meeting. Okay, so for the people that are attending the meeting with us, we have some business that we have to get through. And then once we're through that, we get to each application. And then we'll get you, if you wish to speak, and then we'll continue the process from there. Okay, first order of business would be approval of the agenda that was distributed to the committee. Moved by Peter, seconded by Jack. All those in favor? The agenda is set for the meeting. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof for any of the applications contained in the files? There are none. Okay, adoption of the minutes that previously distributed from the last meeting of the committee. Mover of the minutes, moved by Jack, seconded by Peter. Errors, omissions, business arising. Nothing, anything from staff, anything come up from that meeting, which was November. That's been a while. Nothing. Okay, all those in favor? The minutes are accepted. Okay, first order of business will be the severance application 6-1. So file number B7625. The applicants, James Glenn and Douglas Gunning, the location, Crookston and Rapids Roads, concession 9, lots 3 and 4 of Hungerford. The proposal is that the subject lands are located on the east of Rapids Road and the south of Crookston Road. The subject lands have inadvertently merged on title. The applicants wish to return to the original 2-lot configuration. No development is proposed for either lot at this time. The proposed retained lot will have approximately 75.6 meters of frontage on Crookston Road and 481 meters of frontage on Rapids Road in an area of 12.9 hectares. The severed lands would have 215 meters of frontage on Crookston Road and an area of 18.8 hectares. The proposed severed lands are vacant, would remain as pasture land. The proposed retained land would retain their agricultural use and have an unoccupied cattle barn, at the northwestern corner of the property. Mover and seconder to put the application forward. Peter, seconded by Jack. Questions, comments from committee members? Okay, Jack?
I guess I really don't have any questions, but at one time you get 2 tax bills?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Still 2 tax.
still 2 tax bills.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have any problem with it. I don't know why they amalgamate them anyway.
Okay, well, Lucas, do you want to speak to there was an issue come up. Do you want to address that?
So in the planner's report, there's reference in the rezoning section that the retained lands be rezoned to a special rural zone to recognize the MDS setback. That requirement in consultation with Hastings County has recommended to be removed. So that does not need to be passed by the committee today or recommended to council. The requirement to rezone the EP lands, and speaking with the proponents, it sounds like Quinte won't require that either. So there will be no rezoning of the retained lands to my knowledge when the notice of decision is issued by the County of Hastings.
Okay. To the applicants, do you have further questions, or when you spoke with Lucas, he was able to explain? Okay, so you're good with that? Okay. All right, so the motion then from the committee would be as follows. Be it resolved that the Committee of Adjustment Planning recommend that council grant consent for severance application B7625 with the 25 with the following conditions. All realty taxes are paid in full. The parkland fee in the amount of $750 for the new lot. road widening as required along the severed lot to conform to 33 feet from the center line of the traveled roadway being Crookston Road. Public Works Manager is satisfied with safe site entrance on the severed lot and with roadside ditching and drainage. The motion's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Carried. So this recommendation will go forward to council on,
February 10th?
okay, and the final decision is that of council. So our recommendation is that they proceed and approve it. Okay, thank you. Okay, that concludes the severance applications. Before we get to the minor variance, there was, in the past, there was an issue came up about road widening conditions, and Jack has raised it a number of times over the years about that whole proposal. The committees had the opportunity to review what was being recommended. Our options are to maintain the existing policy or defer decision pending additional review required from committee discussion. Now, Jim, did everybody get Jim's comments? Okay, so Jim's point basically is that the road widening should only apply to the severed portion, not the retained, thereby limiting the cost of the applicants, which is the discussion that's pretty much been in the committee. Jack, do you want to address?
Yes, years ago when I was on the county of Hastings, I was on the road committee. And they did the same thing. Every time there was a severance, they took out 33 feet. Well, anyway, this one homeowner we got the 33 feet and they want the county to administrator or to maintain it. So anyway, we'd had a lawyer and that, and they said, you own that property, you maintain it. So after that decision, the county give back 95% of the stuff that they have taken back to the homeowner. So they needed it back to the homeowner because they didn't want to maintain it all. They only kept the ones that they knew there was going to be construction in the near future. And that's my idea. If we're not planning on doing the road, why are we taking that? Why are we taking that frontage? Because I think we have it in there where we can take it, and we should only take it if we know we're gonna do construction and need it. Like, as Jim said, most of the roads out in the rural area are just forced roads. And when they do construction, most times they don't take it anyway. That was my idea, and that's my concern. Why are we taking it when we don't need it?
Peter?
Yeah, so I don't disagree with Jack. And I like some of Jim's points. Like, why are they paying or having to? Why are they paying on the full portion and not just
The severed, right.
Which to me seems to make the most sense in this case. I don't know if Lucas has anything from a operational perspective that we should hear.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I would add is kind of the corporate operational perspective, kind of outlined in the report is that, to be blunt, it's a simpler process for the municipality to obtain these lands through the severance process when a lot is being created. Then if we get to a point down the road where maintenance or infrastructure is required for us to purchase those lands from a property owner, it's more expensive at that point in time in almost every case. So it's kind of a broad policy in the sense of planning where we are, and I agree with Jack saying, taking lands, knowing that we may never, and forever's a long time, we may never widen or use that land. Neither side is necessarily wrong here. No one's right or wrong until a situation arises where we need that land for some reason. And under the current policy, we take these little slivers here and there in the off chance that infrastructure maintenance is required. I think from a general perspective, though, I don't think we're doing a lot of road widening. I think maybe more narrowing where we're at now from a policy perspective.
Peter?
So is it, I'm putting this in, is that driven exclusively by the county, or is that a municipal? With it being a position?
We have we have the bylaw 2005-36 where we specifically require it. Leading up to the meeting, I did have a conversation with Gibb, our planner at the county, to see what other municipalities in the area are doing. Not all of them are doing road widening. Some of the smaller municipalities, from his perspective, don't see the value in taking these slivers of land from landowners. He encourages it for the reasons that are outlined in the report and what I've said from an operational perspective. But I think the benefit of the committee reviewing this and what Jack's been asking for is we're not always looking for the operational side of things. We're looking what's best for the community as well. And that's kind of what we're trying to hash out here.
So then go ahead. Oh, sorry, Jack.
Well, one other problem, if somebody is selling a lot to build a house, and we take that 33 feet, that puts the house back, 80 feet plus the 33 feet, but back farther from the road, and we may never use it.
Right. Which has been the discussion with anytime it's come up. That's what it's been, is then we're forcing it back here.
So, and it's just for this discussion, but is there a mechanism we could put in place that would trigger ownership to the municipality if there was a certain set of circumstances that took place on the road? So we wouldn't want the land, to your point, there may never be any development. But if, say, tomorrow we're gonna put up a Amazon warehouse down that road, then we can turn to the landowner and say, when severance was passed, was it made okay? You signed off on the fact that if there was some sort of development, you would get us the land back at that time.
Through the chair, you could enter into development agreements with individual property owners that are registered on title that would apply to their heirs. It would be there forever, with provisions that would allow for potential road widening to happen. But I think the cost of administering that and registering that and then having to go back and do the surveying work down the road. I guess in reality, it's tough on the spot because I'm not a lawyer either, but I think there's some room there because there would be a ton of agreements registered on title to property that would say that. Pretty much any lot that would be created in the municipality would have a development agreement registered against it to say that we may come back at some point in time and take that from an operational standpoint. It is simpler to just have it already. Yeah, and probably
Spending residents or developers money when there's never going to be any development. Okay, this would, and I'm not talking about overcomplicating it, but just through some sort of boilerplate component of this, right, that they would agree to it, and then the development would trigger that portion of the agreement.
we could explore that with a conversation with Hastings County with the planners to see what their thoughts are on doing development agreements registered on title, and then we're able to unlock a transfer down the road if that's an acceptable method, because then we're not taking the land unless we absolutely need to take the land. And then the earlier comments that Jack had made, that the county had transferred lands back to owners because of legal issues or potential legal issues, would cover some of that because we would not be the owners of the land. It would still be the private property owner. Yeah, it's something that staff can explore.
And
for sure.
it's covered in broad language that as required. I mean, maybe if we changed it to if required. Like a simple word. Okay, sure, if you could, sure, come up here and identify yourself and, sure, go ahead. Make sure.
Keith Watson, I'm an Ontario land surveyor, so I've done lots of road widenings in other jurisdictions. I guess the first thing is sometimes we're surveying like a 1 acre lot off a 100-acre parcel. And the cost of doing the road widening survey is more than it costs just to survey the little parcel that they're severing. That's one thing to consider. Usually if there's a severance on a road allowance, they're already 66 feet wide. And we sometimes try to find the center of the road, and if there's some reason that the road is pushed to one side, then we will do a road widening around that. But these traveled roads, they're typically not 33 feet from the center. They go to the fences, and at that point, a lot of municipalities are looking to say, if we don't get it now, we'll have to get it later, and it's going to take a lot to do that. So that's just things to consider. That's
Mhm.
all. And I think other times in Prince Edward County, someone challenged the fact that you can't ask for road widening in front of the retained. You can only ask for it in front of the severed, and I'm not sure what became of that, but typically the people question us that and say, you know, why do they get to take this big strip of my land and not compensate me for that? And I said, well, that they have the right to do that. And I'm not giving you any answers, but I'm just
No,
some of the facts that we run into as when we surveyed those. And again, that one thing is depending on the circumstances, the severing or creating a part to create a road widening on the retained is almost as expensive as surveying the parcel itself. But every circumstance is different,
Mm.
depending on the configuration of the lots. But
Thank you. Thanks for that. So, okay. Then I think, yeah, go ahead.
maybe the cost to survey it and is some cost that may be less than that whole administration thing when you're putting things on title and that would involve your lawyers and
Right.
everything like that. I'm not sure that's something I'll have to decide or consider.
It's a good point. Yeah. Okay, so the issue is been brought to the committee, put here before the committee. Jim's comments are here. Peter, and Jack, what I'm hearing is that you're leaning to we maintain the policy that's there. And Lucas will continue discussions with the county. And if there's something further, then it could come back to the committee. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes.
Right, right. So then for the purpose of the discussion, then the motion would be it resolved that Committee of Adjustment and Planning recommend maintaining the existing policy under bylaw 20536. A mover and a seconder? That, okay, all those in favor? Okay, that will be the position of the committee, and then if something, if more information comes up. Sound fair? Okay. And just for the record, we're not getting an Amazon warehouse. Just,
Oh,
I know, I just broke into a sweat. Costco maybe, but not.
that was the first thing.
Bad joke. I know. When you said it, I thought, oh no. Sorry. Okay, yeah, 7.2, public meetings for planning files is another item that's been brought to the committee. And this is the issue that Municipality of Tweed signed the Spark Agreement with Hastings County for the delivery of planning services in late 2025. The zoning amendment files that are a condition of severance are sent direct or straight to council for two reasons. One, to speed up the Planning Act timelines and municipal review. And the Committee of Adjustment and Planning has already viewed the parcel under the consent process. And that information was provided to the committee. So our options would be that we make a recommendation to council to endorse the proposed governance change and direct staff to keep the current process in place. Comments from committee members? You're good with it?
Yeah.
So the motion would read, be it resolved that Committee of Adjustment Planning recommend that council accept the proposed governance change and permit all public planning meetings to be hosted by a Committee of Adjustment. Sorry, go ahead.
Just through the chair, just to clarify, we've said two different things. The recommendation in the resolution is to change the process that we have now. There's two options in the staff
Right,
report.
which is why we were having the discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's an option to leave things the way they are. Or there's an option for us to recommend to council that we change our governance process for public planning meetings.
So we would be recommending that they accept the proposed change and permit all planning meetings to go before adjustment and planning.
Through the committee, just how we got here, I've had some feedback from residents over the years and staff as well, that we should utilize our planning committee more fully. And that's why this report is here. So I don't know if we want to, I mean, the options are to leave the process that we have in place or to bring some of those condition of severance zoning amendments back to the table here. But then when they are presented to council as a minor zoning amendment, they're presented to council in the form of a staff report plus a bylaw to pass it immediately, rather than taking a report to council
Right. which
and
is
then
how
waiting
it's
another
always been.
meeting.
Right.
Or we leave it the way it is. Council hosts a public meeting, the bylaw comes at the following meeting. The staff report indicates, depending on the timing, it could be 7 to 10 day delay. It could be 7 or 10 days quicker. It just depends on when the dates line up, essentially.
So if we had a recommendation that said that the committee recommends to council that all public planning meetings be hosted by Committee of Adjustment and Planning, that covers it. It should be self-explanatory that it's leave it the way it was.
In the committee report to council, I would put some of the background details that are in
Yeah.
the report to you. And then council can make the final decision based on your recommendation
Right.
that you decide today.
But that, okay, so that will be then the recommendation from this committee would be it resolved that Committee of Adjustment and Planning recommend to council that all public planning meetings be hosted by Committee of Adjustment and Planning.
Yes, that's staff's recommendation.
Okay.
I believe it just, it'll be from the clerk side of things, I think a better flow at the council meetings, that we don't have the public planning meetings kind of halt the council meeting for
yeah,
a planning file.
I agree. The little bit of change that we did have, it becomes very confusing if the applicants come back where there's another issue arising.
Right.
We don't know what's taken place
And there's no need to revisit a site. These will be files that you've already been to site for the severance file, and unless we need you to because something's come up through the process.
okay.
Again, they are minor zoning amendments. They're required under the Planning Act. We have to go through the process,
Right.
but they don't require extensive review, and it won't be any more additional burden on our Committee of Adjustment Planning.
Okay, so then the recommendation then is before the committee that the Committee of Adjustment Planning recommend that council, all public planning meetings be hosted by the Committee of Adjustment and Planning and direct the staff to keep the current processes in place. Yeah, no?
Just not the last part.
Okay,
So just
okay, so wind that back.
Committee of Adjustment Planning recommend that council accept the proposed governance change and permit all public planning meetings to be hosted by the Committee of Adjustment Planning. Is
What
the
he
sta-
said. Mover, Peter, seconded by Jack. All those in favor? That will be the recommendation going forward to council. Okay, gee. All right, minor variances. So we'll adjourn the planning portion of the meeting and call to order minor variances Committee of Adjustment. So we have one application, and that you folks are welcome to stay, or if you wanted to leave, we understand. I didn't know if you felt like church that couldn't get up and walk out. Okay. Minor variance application A126, applicant 1975547 Ontario Inc. Authorized agent Jennifer Matthews, Watson Land Surveyors, the location 532 Otter Creek Road. The purpose of the application is to provide relief from section 5.8.1 of bylaw 2012-30, amended by bylaw 2024-56 to reduce the environmental protection setback of 30 meters to 16.5 meters to permit the development of a single detached dwelling on the subject land. Can we a mover and a seconder to get the discussion? Peter, seconded by Jack. Mr. Watson, you're here to speak to this? Okay. All right.
Jennifer Matthews was going to be here, but she's on a cruise. I picked a good week to.
Well,
I'm Keith Watson from Watson Land Surveyors. What they want to do is build a house on this lot of record. And the setback from the water course that the Conservation Authority asked for is 30 meters. And that leaves lots of room to build a house, but the setback from the environmental zone is which the municipality looks after. 30 meters cuts in. I don't know if you have a diagram of that. It cuts into where the house could be. So we're asking for some relief on the environmental setback. We're still well away from the creek and any environmental impacts. I don't know if you've been out to the lot, but it's quite a hill up there, and they want to build up on the top of the hill, so it'll be high and dry from any of the environmental protection area. I think the reason for the environmental protection area was a bit of a floodplain there, so we're still well away from that. We can't move any further north because of the overhead utility line, so that's sort of where we can fit the house, and we're looking for a bit of relief so we can get that corner of the house on the lot.
Okay. Peter, questions? Comments? Jack? Go ahead.
Yes. I know they call this a minor variance, but I think this is a major variance. And if we approve this, he's got to get an application from that county conservation anyway, and if they don't approve it, you can't build.
But the Conservation Authority setback is much closer to that, and they will.
Well, they show one and they show a proposed lot where it is 30 meters,
Mhm,
but if you both look at the property, you can't really see anything and it's fairly flat.
mhm.
And I just wonder if we approve it, when you don't, you won't be able to build anyway.
Well,
I think when he has approved it, we're within their setbacks.
Yeah,
We can then meet the Quinte Conservation Authority setback.
yeah, in the comments from Cooney Conservation, this would have been from the visit July 3rd, and then the report went out on the 7th, that he's outlined all those conditions to the landowner, and marking of the seasonal high water mark, and then the setbacks, and in the discussion where they would agree that if they did approve it, where they would. And I understand what you're saying about it's major, not minor, but that's what this committee is here for, to decide what's best for the property and the particular application. So I think that due diligence has been done with the Conservation Authority, but they've also made it clear that they're going to do another inspection before they would even consider. And clearly, if it was July, the applicants understand the issues there. Peter?
Yeah, I'm really not opposed to it, in principle. We're meeting the Quinte conservation guidelines. And, you can argue major, minor, but that's, like you said, that's what we're here for. So personally, I don't have any aversion to doing this.
Okay. Jack, you want to?
no, I just a bit confused there, like, I don't wanna hold up development, I'd like to see it go ahead, but I guess, can we agree in principle?
Well, I think what we would be saying is that it will be okay with us, and that the municipality would agree that you can proceed, but the conditions of Quinte Conservation are much more strict, and without them in line,
Yeah.
it's, our hands are tied. Mr. Watson's represented that that's been made aware to them, and they know that, and that's why they're working to get the building envelope within what's dictated by the groups.
The
I
conservation.
put words in your mouth. but-
Sorry, the conservation, if they use their setback, the building envelope is quite a bit larger because it comes from the creek itself, 30 meters back. And then there's the municipal setback is from the environmental line, which is a little bit further back, and it cuts
Yeah.
into the building envelope.
'Cause
But
there's-
No,
Okay, yeah, you got that there, and then the water course there.
Yeah, I've got that map.
Okay, anything further, committee members, anything from staff that has come in as of late? No? Okay, so the application that is before us, the motion would read, be it resolved that Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application A126 to provide relief from section 5.8.1 of bylaw 2012-30, amended by bylaw 24-56 to reduce the environmental protection setback of 30 meters to 16.5 meters to permit development of a single detached dwelling on the subject land. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Okay, it's carried. Mr. Watson, you know the process, so Lucas will be in touch to tell you how things proceed from there. Okay. That will conclude the committee of adjustment meeting. Staff updates?
I think the only staff update I have for the committee is that I will be away for a couple of weeks in February, so I'm not sure volume wise where we're at for a February meeting. So we'll just kind of play it by ear. And if there is a meeting, I'm still going to be doing emails. So you'll hear from me if we have a meeting in February. It would be the 27th if we do have one in February.
Okay, Lori, anything? Nothing? By committee members, questions, things? No? Good.
I'd still like the committee or the council to look at our committee of adjustment, if you want to build a house in front of the road. Like when we were in Elka, we always, as long as the garage was back behind the setback, they could do it. Like we just had a place of where I'm building a garage behind my house. And it's all rural residential. And that means the road's the frontage. Well, we had to go through the committee of adjustment. We're 450 feet from the road.
Yeah.
Like, it seems really ridiculous.
I mean, over the years, we've had some, yeah,
Yeah, through the committee, I think the way Jack's positioning it makes sense. And there's other municipalities that do position their policies in a similar fashion. So I think what we can do is we can bring, like we did with road widening and governance today, we can bring forward a staff report to the committee to review it in a little bit more detail and get some feedback externally, and then make a recommendation to council on a potential zoning amendment.
I think, that's a good idea. Okay. Okay, Jack, we'll get that back on. We'll talk about it. Okay, motion to adjourn? Yeah, okay. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.